Happy Record Store Day 2025. I am Robert Fiffin, and you've seen some of the inside of Riverbend Records in Godfrey, Illinois, and a lot of the titles that were available for Record Store Day. And I'm going to show you actually the ones that I picked up and checked out. Eaton's Children, the debut. This is a psych band from Boston. This is about an $80, $85, $90 record if you get an original in nice condition. It was released in 1968 in both mono and stereo. And when re-released by Sundazed, they did the stereo version, which I always love the psych stuff in stereo. It is a gatefold, as is the original, with all this text in there, which I have not read yet. But, you know, this harkens back to the days when you would do that. There wasn't internet. There wasn't a lot of all these other distractions. You would sit there and you would listen to the record and you would just stare at all of the liner notes and the lyrics here and, you know, another track listing here with the running time. So glad they, stayed faithful to the original as far as the cover art. And the back cover is really cool, too, with all the song titles in different colors. Very colorful. And speaking of colors, the vinyl is this nice green, a little bit of a green swirl going on there. The label, they went ahead and did their own thing with it because this was released on ABC Records, and they didn't try to replicate that label. They just kind of did their own thing. I actually have the other Eaton's Children album, an original of that, called Sure Looks Real. And they must have had some money behind it because this is a gatefold as well. So this is an original one. Of that, but I never had their first album, so now I do, and this is just full of awesome fuzz guitar. That's their main thing on this, is the fuzz guitar. If you like fuzz guitar and the psych pop garage, rock, you got to definitely pick this up or at least check it out online or something. Fuzz guitar all over this thing. Second track, good. Well, first of all, the first track, Knocked Out, is just, it really sets the mood, rockin' little tune, fuzz guitar all over it, and then it immediately goes mellow with the second one, Goodbye Girl, and then picks right back up again. So a lot of great rockin' songs on here. The pressing itself sounds very crisp, but also a little bit thin. There's not a lot of bass going on here, and I'm not sure, you never can tell with these kind of like lesser known late 60s albums, if that is a product of the original mastering, if that's just the way it sounds, or if that's the way it was, reissued. So if somebody has an original of this, I would love to know in the comments, is there a somewhat lack of bass in that? Because there definitely is here, except for Out Where the Lightfish Live. That is the second track on side 2. That the bass guitar has is up front in that, so you definitely hear bass in that. It actually sounds like it's mastered and mixed differently, kind of engineered, I guess, differently than the rest of the album. But yeah, this just has great stuff all over it. Now the vocalist is probably, I don't know which of these three guys is the vocalist, but the vocalist is the part of this that leaves a little bit for me anyway, leaves a little bit to be desired. His vocals are very stiff. On some tracks, like the first song on side 2, Just Let Go, he tries to sing down here, and it doesn't suit his voice at all. And other than that, he's kind of stiff. It's this kind of declaring thing like this, and and it doesn't really go with the groovy like fuzz guitar and the nice drums and that whole like late 60s feel, Boston sound and all of that. But other than that, this is a great record. I just think the vocals bring it down a little bit from like maybe being a 5-star awesome mind-blowing effort to a pretty cool record. It's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. I'm glad I have this. Eaton's Children and their self-titled debut reissued by Sundazed for Record Store Day. The other psych release for Record Store Day this year, because there's usually about 2, and this would be the other one, 13th Floor Elevators live at the Houston Theater from 1967. And since this is 1967, this is when they were first starting out. So a bunch of the tracks from the very first album on here, like I've Got Levitation and Fire Engine and Roller Coaster, and obviously a bunch of others. This is what you would call a historical live recording. Definitely not audiophile here. You're not going to put this on and be like, whoa, I was blown away by the sound quality. This is why I've got an Ortofon Bronze right here. This definitely sounds like somebody just had a little tape recorder and recorded the concert, and later on they beefed it up a little bit with, bass and whatever. But yeah, I love how it says first time in mono on the sticker there. Like, I don't even know what, is there really a stereo mix of this? But yeah, this has been out for a while on different bootlegs and whatever, so this is sort of more of an official release of this on, is it Charlie UK, I think, put this out. So yeah, I mean, it sounds about as good as it's going to sound. And it's one of those type of things where, you know how if you listen to a concert, it's not that great sounding. You get into about, you know, into track 3, track 4, middle of track 5, it actually, you start to get more used to it. It actually starts to sound a little better as it goes along. So that's kind of the case here with the 13th Floor Elevators. If, you know, this band doesn't have a lot of in their discography, so, you know, if you're desperate to have more, you've worn out the 3 or 4 records that you have, and you just want something historical and like kind of like you were there and in the moment, you might want to pick this up. If you aren't that into the 13th Floor Elevators, or you have like maybe one of their albums, you might want to get some more of their studio stuff before you go diving into the rare stuff like this. I will say that that electric jug thing that's super annoying to me is in the background more on this. So that is a very positive point to make about this. Oh, I keep forgetting to take the record out. This is on dark blue vinyl. A little bit of black splotching in there. So yeah, looks pretty cool on the turntable. But yeah, 13th Floor Elevators, not exactly an essential psych release, but something nice to kind of complement your 13th Floor Elevators collection, basically. All right, now it's time to talk about some punks from London called Wire, and this is their compilation called 9 7s, because it's 9 7-inch singles. This is A and B sides of their singles, and this goes from 1977 to 1980. Basic black vinyl for this. Yeah, I was not a big fan of Wire when I first heard them, so I never really investigated them further. I know they have a big album called Pink Flag, but I've never really heard that all the way through. They had this song called 12XU that used to show up on punk compilations, and it would always be the song I would skip over. Was not impressed. It's just this really dumb... saw you in a mag, kissing a man. Saw you in a mag, kissing a man. Saw you in a mag, kissing a man. I'm gonna put you in a corner, put you in a corner. And that's all it says. That's it. I'm like, is this going anywhere? No. Oh, no, this is not going anywhere. Okay. And so it really kind of a dumb song. So, you know, a lot of these like 70s punk bands, I really like their punk stuff. And then when they start to drift away from it, they become a little less interesting to me. Bands like The Damned and you know, the Stranglers, I really like their punk stuff. Wire seems to be the opposite. As they get away from the punk stuff, they become more interesting to me. I really like the last 3/4 of this album. Songs like Outdoor Miner, really cool, just kind of dreamy kind of pop going on there. They got the Practice Makes Perfect. Question of Degree is got this great building crescendo in the middle of it that's really cool. Former Airline is noisy, but it totally works. Map reference 41 North 33 West. That's the name of the song. That one is just kind of this almost like power pop or like really hard-edged, you know, kind of a pop song. A lot of great stuff on here. You know, they even get into more of like psychedelic stuff as it goes on with like, you know, the end of side 3 here. And then they go full on noise rock with Catapult 30, which really isn't rock. It's basically just noise. I think they needed to fill some time on side B on that one and just, hey, let's just throw some noise on there. Song 1 is, you know, boppy little instrumental. Get Down is, you know, just, you know, it just kind of get more into the, you know, the weirder stuff. So they go all over the place, especially when you consider this is 4 years. Really a lot of different sounds, going in a lot of different places. I just would, you know, I'm probably not going to listen to side 1 a lot. Well, I Am the Fly's okay. Excellent. Well, you know, Got Dash is kind of quirky, and you know, but that's stupid. 12XU, man. If I would have heard other songs off of here first, I probably would have investigated Wire a lot more. But glad to finally have this so I can figure out what these guys are all about. And if I see some of their later albums, I might pick those up. I never see anything but Pink Flag though, and that's the punk stuff. And as far as their punk stuff goes, they're a little mid-level for me. I don't know, maybe they got better stuff than 12XU, but yeah, that is Wire and 9 7s. Okay, you know me. If it's record store day, gotta have my Tay-Tay! Woo-woo! Taylor Swift and the 7-inch single. She has teamed up with Post Malone on this. When you get two mega talents like that going together, you know this thing is gonna slap. called Fortnite, and yes, it does, man. This is brilliant. Man, I love this. This is the one where I'm playing this and playing this. I cannot stop. I'm going to stop right now, though, and tell you that I've not even opened this. I got this for a friend, actually. Yeah, so I'm trying to be a good friend here and get the Taylor Swift single that they wanted. So I don't... Post Malone, I think I've heard an album once at the record store, and I believe it was a compilation, and did not make me a fan. It's not for me. It is not for me. I appreciate Taylor Swift's talents. You know, apparently she's a great person. Not for me. But I did try to be a good friend. Got this for a friend as well, Dada and Puzzle. Now, I am familiar with this because I have the CD. Coincidentally, believe it or not, it's true. Coincidentally, I will be reviewing that CD in my next video because that is where it falls in the ranking of albums from 1992. It just happens to be in the next video coming up. So I'll give a more full, in detail ranking and review of Dada's Puzzle album. But these guys are, you know, kind of the power pop of the 90s, you know, got a little bit of a jangle rock thing going on, but they got great melodies, great harmonies. Their big songs were Disneyland, I'm going to Disneyland, and Dim was the one I actually liked a lot more than that. And there's the one called Dog, about the woman who turns into a dog or thinks she's a dog, or, yeah, so... This has not been out on vinyl at all, except for like in Brazil, I think. So yeah, this is finally out on vinyl. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this to come out on vinyl, including my friend who I got this for. And I still love the back cover. This is on the booklet of the CD too, where these guys, these are LA rockers right there. This is LA rockers 90s style. These guys look like they're gonna come in and do some coding at the office, maybe fix the copy machine or something like that. But yeah, Dada, Puzzle. Again, full review of that coming up in my next video where I continue to rank the albums of 1992. And one thing I'm always saying too, when you're looking over the RSD list every year, don't just breeze over the various artists' records, because there's some really good ones in here, and here is yet another one, the Westbound Sound Foundations. This is Volume 2. I got Volume 1 when it came out for Record Store Day, loved it, played it all the time, and they have followed it up with this one. This one's great as well. This is curated by Record Store Day, people that worked at record stores. I was not asked. But yeah, so this starts off with The Counts and Pack a Lies. And that's, I just got that Counts album not too long. I guess it's been about a year or so since I got that, maybe a little less. Showed that in a Vinyl Finds video. And Pack a Lies is the song I was talking about. It's the instrumental where they lift the beginning of the What's My Name, the Snoop Doggy Dogg song. That's what that comes from The Counts. And that whole album is great. Glad to see that track on here. Definitely one of the highlights on that album. You get two from Ohio Players, Ecstasy, which is okay, but the real one is the flute rock there, Going On in Pain Part 1, that shows up on side 2. You get this great track, no matter how good it is. The title is the best title ever. Susie Thunderpussy is the name of the song that's on here from June Morrison. And yeah, there's the Fantastic Four, which I'm not familiar with at all. I mean, I know the comic book thing, but the Fantastic Four, I got to find out more about them. They wrap this up with a song called Mixed Up Moods and Attitudes. And that thing is, it's breezy. It's like this kind of breezy thing going along. It's one of the tracks on here that actually has vocals. And as soon as you hear that thing, you'll be going around for the next hour and a half going, mixed up moods and your attitudes, I don't need them. Oh, mixed up moods and your attitudes. It's a real, I guess what they would call an earworm. It does not stop. You get Fuzzy Haskins on here too with Love's Now Is Forever. Funkadelic with, hey, we're in a nappy dugout. Wow, 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 wow. So yeah, you get some Funkadelic on here. You get the thing about it is, you know, we all love Funkadelic, and we've all heard that probably, you know, plenty of times on here. And the whole Ohio Players too, with their early stuff on Westbound. But the great thing about this is it's like the Fantastic Four. And groups like that, you know, the Pleasure Web, you know, they show up on here, and you know, you never see those records anywhere. People don't know about those bands. I don't know about them. Maybe you do. I don't know about those bands. So it's great to have that in here to get like the little sampling of stuff, just like they used to do back in the day, doing that again. There's a couple of tracks on here that are leaning more towards the disco type of thing, which is, so you got a little bit of funk, you got a little bit of flute funk going on, you got some smoothed out R&B, you got some disco funk, so it's all a part of this Westbound Sound Foundations Part 2, and they keep the price down by advertising Tito's Handmade Vodka again on the inner sleeve, so great to see that as well. The little advertisement there, a little billboard, and pass the savings on to you for Record Store Day, which is important for Record Store Day. If you walk out with a haul, and then you look at your credit card later on and we're like, damn, glad they had that Tito's Handmade Vodka advertisement in at least one of the records. And here's another great one, Little Richard and Try Some of Mine on this sweet pink vinyl here. These are the recordings he did for the Brunswick label. He only did 3 singles. And so that's why you never see these songs anywhere. They're not on compilations usually, and they're very, very hard to find. So they've been collected on this EP. There's 6 songs on here. So this is really reasonable. But you should know that since it is an EP, it's in 45 RPM. I put this thing on and it was like, I'm like, wow, that is a different sound for Little Richard. Actually was playing it at the wrong speed. So yeah, 45 RPM. Sounds terrific. But the main thing is these songs are really hard to find because they're this minute of time when he was on Brunswick, kind of sounding like Little Richard in a Jackie Wilson sort of setting with the whole exciting horns going on and all that kind of thing, mid-60s kind of thing, because he was on Brunswick as well. So it's a little bit of a different sound for Little Richard, but he's still got quite the energy. Every song on here is a blast. Like I said, there are 6 of them, including Stingy Jenny. No more Jenny spinning like a spinning top. She's getting stingy now. A song called Soul Train on here as well, kind of predating the TV show. It really cooks on this very last track on here called She's Together. That's where he just absolutely lets it rip. And of course, Baby, Don't You Tear My Clothes. Forget about blue suede shoes. He's got a whole outfit that he doesn't want you messing with. You can get into fights. You can do this. You can just don't tear my clothes. Those are my stage clothes. Little Richard, man, I was not familiar with these. Like I said, very rare tunes. This is probably about the only time you'll be able to get these on, a big 12-inch. I won't say an LP because it's an EP, but like a 12-inch piece of vinyl. So definitely check this out. Try Some of Mine from Little Richard. Some Little Richard you probably may not have heard before. Record Store Day this year also meant the debut of Camper Van Beethoven in my record collection, and it is their debut album called Telephone Free Landslide Victory. Not sure what that name's all about, but it is Camper Van Beethoven, so you just really kind of never know. Glad to finally have something by them. I didn't have a record, CD, or anything, and this is pretty cool stuff. I actually really did enjoy this. I wasn't too familiar with a lot of their stuff. I mean, I knew Take the Skinheads Bowling. That's, of course, their big... their huge smash hit. I mean, not really. It's their most popular song, I should say. But this is pretty fun and kind of goofy all the way through, but in a great way. A long album with a lot of short songs. So nothing outstays its welcome. Pretty much cool stuff overall. Of course, it does have the song Take the Skinheads Bowling, but it also has a wonderful cover version of Black Flag's Wasted. That's done in their own particular style. A lot of instrumentals on here, some a little more exotic than others. They got a song on here called Oh No. It's kind of like 80s version of garage rock. So a little bit of a different styles going on here. It keeps it really interesting throughout. It's, like I said, about 50 minutes long. So pretty long for one record from 1985, but like I said, it does stay interesting through all of the different selections here. So really cool stuff from Camper Van Beethoven, featuring, of course, David Lowery, who would continue his sort of slacker, smartass style in the band Cracker, but fill the songs out a little more and make them a little more radio-friendly and potentially hit-friendly, like the big song Low that he had with that band. But yeah, glad to have some Camper Van Beethoven. And if you do get this album for Record Store Day, just know that it loads at the top. Don't take a pocket knife or a little razor or something and try to, if you want to keep the shrink wrap on it like I like to do, don't cut down the side there, because it actually is it loads at the top. But yeah, finally, glad to finally get this and have some fun with the ever quirky camper van Beethoven. So before I show any more of the records that I got for Record Store Day 2025, I want to show you some of the happenings of Record Store Day 2025. I was at Riverbend Records in Godfrey, Illinois, all morning long, checking out the scene there and seeing all the happy people getting their wares for Record Store Day. And they really do it right there because they've got this whole system set up where you're in line, and you know there were people that were there waiting all not like from the previous evening, just like camping out there as what usually happens on Record Store Day. But they do it right there. They've got the whole numbering system where, you know, if you're in line, you're pretty much going to get your top 2 items as long as they're available down the line. They take the notes, they get everybody's name and their top 2 on the want list, and when you enter the store, they're already in bags.
Anybody here for the Starship? We built this this city. Someone said shitty. No? How's it going?
So yeah, the line is lengthy at Riverbend Records in Godfrey. Some people have been waiting here since the day before, camped out. You saw, you know, the couches laid out, people just hanging out and ready to get what they want, got their top 2 requests, and they'll be waiting in a bag at the store when they walk in. Of course, they're free to browse all these other titles. And the way it happens here is all the Record Store Day stuff is against all the walls, and then there's another section of bins. It's really, really well organized. There's the doors. It's really well organized, and I've heard of places that also sell video games, some chain places, that try to do Record Store Day, and they get a couple of bins, they shove everything in there, no lists, no rhyme or reason, anything, and it's absolute pandemonium, and you have, you know, 2 people walking away happy and satisfied, and everybody else just wondering why they just wasted their time and hating on Record Store Day. And so if that's your experience, you're really just going to the wrong place. You need to find a record store you need to find a record store that knows how to actually do it with, you know, some organization and making sure that it's fair and the people that have been waiting longest get what they want, and you know, everybody has a chance to get what they want, and that type of thing. Look at the crowd. You know, the store is absolutely filled with people, not only, you know, that have been waiting outside getting their top 2, but also browsing around for other things. Every time there's a Record Store Day here at Riverbend Records, they also do sales on all the used vinyl and cassettes and CDs and everything is a certain percentage off, and big items up on the wall. The super collectible stuff is got a percentage off as well, so those are some great deals. Here's the stuff that's in the bins. Now you'll notice you're not seeing Wicked or Harry Potter. Those were the top 2 titles. Those were already called for in line. People already, so when those already got put in bags and they're waiting for the people to come into the store. So, but yeah, you got all of there's another one of those blur, you know, that looks like you got to have a phone app to get the Zoetrope type thing. There's you know, there's Carcass. We'll be talking about that later. I actually got a Carcass for myself. Patsy Cline. Should have picked that up. Collective Soul. Cowboy Junkies. So yeah, there's The Cure, you know, another picture disc. It's another Record Store Day, another picture disc from The Cure. Day Aside, Willie Dixon. I got that. I'll be talking about that later as well. Another Doors thing. I said I wasn't getting any more Doors. I meant it. I did not get the Doors, you know, Strange Days, the early mixes or whatever it was. You know, another Record Store Day, another Jerry Garcia box set. And another Record Store Day, another Grateful Dead compilation and Grateful Dead box set. So you can count on that like you can count on, you know, the sunrise.
Get lots of selfies for Krusty.
Yeah, some jazz stuff in there. Mahalia Jackson, Jesus Lizard, Jethro Tull. You know, you got rare stuff. Elton John, Judas Priest compilation on red vinyl. Marcus King. I actually heard the Marcus King. I was surprised by how good that was. I wasn't familiar with him. Little Richard, there it is, man. That's a great one. Johnny Marr live. Maybe I should have picked that up, or at least investigated that one. Motor Tape, the, you know, rare Motorhead. Neurotic Outsiders is really cool. If you don't know what that is actually Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols teaming up with like a guy from Duran Duran, 2 guys from Guns N' Roses, Duff McKagan,
Matt Klink, I mean, it's this really intense, rock from the 90s. There's Public Image. You just missed the Post Malone Does Nirvana. I don't think that's going to last. Ramones Live, reissue of Replacements. Tim, there's the Rock of Fire Explosion. There it is. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Oh, yeah. Okay. So cool. Saxon, Wheels of Steel. I actually got one of those. I'll be talking about that in a minute. Shakira. I heard that was a great album, and I know it's true because her hips told me that. Soul Asylum Live. There it is. The Starship We Built This City picture disc. 12-inch single. Come on now. You know that's not going to last. That's going to last. Tesla doing some decent cover versions of rock songs. That's a pretty cool one. A lot of people got interested in that when it was playing in the store. So this is we're early on here. So more than half of it, most of this stuff is going to be gone. That is an absolute guarantee. So that's some of the stuff you can find Record Store Day this year. And Taylor Swift's Fortnite with Post Malone. Look at all of these copies.
Now, as far as Record Store Day goes, there are some naysayers. There are some people who say it's just a cash grab. And it's, just a big gimmick. And, some of these records that come out on that day, they have no integrity whatsoever. Well, oh yeah? Well, then how do you explain this? The Rock of Fire Explosion Original Dreams from Showbiz Pizza. See, this is what happens, to me anyway, when you hang out all day at Record Store Day and you see everybody just coming in and just getting all excited. Oh, I want this one, and you keep seeing these records. You finally get this one. You grab that one. You didn't plan on getting this one. Might as well get this one too. That's why I had no plans to get the Wire record. That's how I ended up with that one. There was a couple others where it's like, all right, well, yeah, I'll get this. After a while, it sits there and it just stares at you. And this is one of those. The Rock of Fire Explosion. There was no reason for me to get... You know what this is, right? This is Showbiz Pizza. Well, maybe if you're in another part of the world, you don't. In the U.S., at least in the Midwest, there was Showbiz Pizza. And it was these animatronic, characters here. You got the big ape here. You got like what looks like a bear and a dog. And they're all on stage and they're electric, they're like robotic things. Sort of like what Chuck E. Cheese later was or Five Nights at Freddy's. This was, this was before that. We're talking late 70s, early 80s here when I was a child. So I would go here and thought it was a blast. And I've got a couple of the 45s because they used to have records that they would sell at the pizza place. They had all kinds of toys and whatever and records, and you could, buy tickets or whatever or win tickets from the games or something. If you won enough, you got a discount or something like that. I got a couple of the 45s. They had an album called G, Our Very First Album. I still remember the name of it. I never did get that. I always wanted it though. And so this comes in a close second. The new release for Record Store Day, Rock of Fire Explosion, because that's the name of the band here. Original Dreams, Songs from Showbiz. And I have not opened this yet, but apparently there's a little poster in here and color vinyl. It's a gatefold. This slides out. This is like open right here. So this is actually the inner sleeve. This is what happens when you hang out at Record Store Day for a little too long. You walk home with something like this. And, man, I still remember when these things would malfunction. That was like what child nightmares are made of. These things would be up there performing, and then suddenly one of them would like freak out and be like... And it was like... Total freak out. It was like, ah! So yeah, at least those wonderful childhood memories are brought back with this album. But back to more stuff that I actually intended to buy, and I'm glad I got it. Willie Dixon, and what happened to my blues? Well, they reissued it for Record Store Day 2025 and put it on orange vinyl. That is what happened to your blues, Mr. Dixon. Willie Dixon, of course, legendary blues guy, but he is more known, I think, for the songs that he has written more than for, being a vocalist. But he does have plenty of great albums out. But he's the one that wrote like Hoochie Coochie Man and Evil, and I Just Want to Make Love to You, and Spoonful, all those tracks that like the classic rock bands did when they were blue, like Cream and Led Zeppelin. He wrote, I can't quit you, baby. What do I think about to put you down? He wrote that, and a lot more. But this was his album from 1976. And this is excellent. I mean, it sounds great. It is great. Crank this up. It's got a lot of energy on this, especially for a guy, you know, just an old blues dude. At this point, Mooncat in the first song sets the tone. You are in a good, I mean, it's blues, but it's good mood blues. It is fast. It is up-tempo. Now, the second track, What Happened to My Blues, the title track, it's a little more down, you know, it's your typical, I'm in the bar, feeling the blues, and wah, 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 you know, that kind of thing. But it picks right back up again. The last two tracks on side one, smoke. Gotta Love You, Baby, can't Quit You kind of thing, and Shakin' the Shack. And that's exactly what happens. You throw that on. It's interesting. The second track on here, It's Easy to Love You, but Hard to Let You Go. That's the one where he says, like, your bloodstream is in my sex drive, your marrow's in my bone, or something like that. They didn't write songs like that back in the, well, maybe they did back in the 40s. You'd had to listen closely. But yeah, this has just got a lot of great upbeat stuff on it. This is a kick-ass blues album from Willie Dixon. One that, you know, like a lot of these ones from the mid-70s, kind of flying under the radar. I have never seen this cover art before. I don't know what's going on with the blue tear here. Like, you know, like the RCA version of Kiss Rock and Roll Over. But, yeah, Willie Dixon, man, What Happened to My Blues. Now, this is one of those record store day things that I bet this is still on shelves everywhere, and you could probably go pick this up. You probably should. This is a great blues album. Also picked up Saxon and Wheels of Steel. This is the 45th anniversary edition on a double album. And yeah, I had this on CD for years, but never had it on vinyl, and now I do, thanks to Record Store Day and impulse buying. So yeah, this has, you know, 747, Strangers in the Night, Going Nowhere. I love the fact, and every time I mention Saxon, this is probably their most popular album, by the way. Every time I mention them, I always got to mention the fact that I love that there's a metal band with a lead singer named Biff. And Biff is definitely on here. You know, you've got not only the 747 song, which is pretty popular, you've also got the title track, Wheels of Steel, but having this bitchin' car that's just screaming down the highway. Also, Freeway Mad is after that. That's a song about having this bitchin' car that's just screaming down the highway. So there are some repeating themes on here. Motorcycle Man starts the whole thing off. That's the song that's about having this bitchin' motorcycle that's just screaming down the highway. Wheels, actually, a 747, Strangers in the Night, is pretty much about an airplane that's screaming in the sky. I would assume the passengers are screaming with what's going on in the song. But yeah, this also has the song Susie Hold On, which shows up on a later album in the U.S., so that comes up in 1983, like 3 years later on their album in the U.S., so they just tacked that song on there. But the reason that this is a double album, it's usually just a single album, the reason that the 45th anniversary Record Store Day version is a double album is because it has the full Donington Raceway concert when they did the Monsters of Rock back in 1980. It has that full concert on there, and that certain songs from that concert have been released previously on like deluxe versions of the CD or whatever, but I think this was one of the first times, if not the first time, that the entire concert is on here. And I will say, I did think it was going to sound a little bit better than what it sounds on here. The sound quality is not great. And I thought, since, you know, it's Monsters of Rock, that's a huge production. 1980, we're not talking about, you know, the late 50s here. I mean, there's nice remote recording equipment, you know. It should sound like I thought it was going to sound more like your basic 1980 live album, you know, pretty good. And it doesn't. I mean, it sounds okay, but it's not up to the standards of what you'd expect from something recorded at such a big event in 1980 would sound. But so not exactly essential. If you've heard a few tracks from it, that's probably all you need. It is, you know, obviously Monsters of Rock in Donington, huge event, pretty much historic event with rock music. But I think there's video of that. So just, you know, try to get the DVD or something if there is one. But yeah, you know, the Wheels of Steel album, like I said, probably Saxon's most popular album. So glad to at least finally have that on vinyl. Carcass extreme metal from the UK. This is their album called Necroticism, and you know, I love the music on here. I'm death metal and extreme metal and all that is kind of hit or miss for me. The music on here is great. There's some great riffs going on in here. Corporal, Jigsaw Quandary. Great guitar riffs on that. Really intense thrash stuff going on in the following track. Symposium of Sickness. You've got Incarnated Solvent Abuse. You know, every song on here is about dead bodies and what can happen to dead bodies. There's little sound clips that come before, like from an English documentary, I'm assuming, about different things that happen with dead bodies and putting ashes in margarine containers and things like just everything is about dead bodies, which is what you can expect from a band named Carcass. Again, not crazy about the vocals. They're those pukey kind of vocals. They're not guttural. They're not the guttural kind of they're more of the pukey that kind of stuff. And but some of the music's on here is great. This is not my favorite extreme metal album of all time, but I figured, I don't have a lot of extreme metal on vinyl. There's a lot of it's from the 90s, and I don't have a lot of 90s vinyl. So I thought I'd grab this for Record Store Day, and then I found out, this has actually been re-released quite a few times. So this is really not anything special. It is on translucent green vinyl. Carcass, they're okay. I'm not crazy about the vocals, not crazy about the lyrical content. I prefer my extreme metal to be about real things. Well, I guess what happens to dead bodies is a real thing, but I prefer it to be about, standing up to the oppressors and fighting back and, freedom of thought and, whatever, that kind of thing. But so those are my Record Store Day pickups. Kind of all over the place. So I had a lot of fun listening to these and, going all in different directions. Although I will admit, I did not open up and listen to the Taylor Swift and Post Malone Fortnite song. I'm gonna just assume that it's incredible and mind-blowing. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. For the next one, it is back right where we left off on my ranking of albums from 1992. So hopefully if you're on that journey with me, you will continue, or maybe you're not. Maybe you'll start that journey with me. I've been doing deep dives into different years. Did 1991, right in the middle of 1992, and at this point, and then next is 1983. Shh, don't tell anybody though. It's a secret. I'm Robert Fithen. Hopefully I will talk to you again soon.
Okay, last call. Anybody wanting to start ship We Built This City picture disc? Anybody? It's still here if anybody wants it.
We can't figure out who that wants.
It includes the club mix.
Then we'll just put them on the other
Anybody?
side.